Hey everyone, welcome to the channel on what I believe is quite a somber day. In fact, it's been a couple of somber days. Today I was going to release a video on the Triumph T120. However, I've decided not to, on the understanding that it is the 4th of October and this will go live on the 5th of October. Hopefully you can see that. Whoops. There. And only a couple of days ago, things went quite nasty in the UK. 2 days ago on Thursday, Manchester experienced some real crap. And as such, taking into account my shall we say, integrity and values, I decided not to release something about motorcycles. This is about me, not other channels that are releasing content on motorcycles. I'm not saying that they have no values. I'm not saying that they have no integrity. This is about how I feel. And I suspect that this particular video will get very few views, but I'm not concerned. This is about my value and integrity. So just like to say, let's get the first minute or whatever out of the way. I am using I purchased the DJI Osmo Nano, and I'm testing it out for the first time in earnest in my car because the weather is horrendous on this particular day of the 4th of October 2025 in the UK. It's very, very windy. Trees have fallen. It's raining, so I'm not going to go out. But I bought the DJI Osmo Nano, and my first impressions are it's absolutely great. I will give a video in the future on the Nano. This is the Vision dock, and of course I have a microphone connected, so you can't see what the camera's showing. That's an error, and we'll talk about that in a future video when I tell you how good the DJI Nano is and why you should purchase it. There's a link in the description where you can purchase it, and I get a 3% kick. Something has to pay for the channel. If there's no revenue coming in, and the revenue is very little, then the channel won't exist. Please do subscribe, and if this video, which you're probably not going to watch, means something to you, then give it a like and share it to other people. Let me just hide my cigarettes. Say hello to Susie. We've now had her about 1 year, and I will say this. I understand that 95% of the world believes in some sort of higher being. I appreciate that. However, I and my father and mother sat in the 5% where from the scientific perspective, we didn't believe in some higher being. We believed in evolution, and we believed in the chaos of the universe and things like that. I'm happy to be proven wrong when I take my last breath. I'm happy to be proven wrong. This is not a dispute about whether religion is good or bad or indifferent. From my perspective, you can do whatever you want, and that's a good thing within the realms of reasonability. However, the last couple of days has shown a few things, and I want to share a story with you about asylum seekers, of which my father was one. Let's get out of this car park and go for a bit of a run. Let's see if we can get out easily enough. There's no one behind me. In this German Mercedes, which is relevant to some greater or lesser degree. In the 1930s, let's get this car out of the way. In the 1930s, things changed for the world dramatically. They really did. With the advent of, ultimately, the Second World War. As part of that movement in Germany and the rise of fascism, etc., etc., a number of children were moved away from that country into other countries, or by themselves, or maybe with the brother and sister, or whatever. Some of those children, at a very young age, came to the United Kingdom, or Great Britain. And of those children that came to the United Kingdom or Great Britain, some of those children were sent to a particular castle. I forgot the name. I'll try to put it up on the screen right now, to where they were housed. And ultimately, with the kindness of the Welsh people, some of those children that came from Germany were placed in foster homes within the Welsh community, and maybe a broader community as well beyond Wales. And then, excuse me, and then when in foster homes, the regime was to find them adopted homes. And then they went out for adoption with families where they would grow up as a child within the family. Yeah, a child within the family. I'll just turn my heating off. And they would go through a normal journey of life and go through education and pay their taxes when they went into employment. I'm sorry about the noise from the windscreen wipers. So they would go through the journey of life and pay their taxes whilst contributing to the state, the United Kingdom, and reaping the benefits of what the state offered, be that healthcare, education, safety, all this good stuff. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Things were different then. My father was one of those, so I am the secondary effect of an asylum seeker, although he was a very, very young child at the time, so he wasn't claiming asylum when coming across a border. As a group of children led by some adult, they would be claimed as asylum seekers. So my father's parents over in Germany had the bravery of putting their child, my father, onto a train to evacuate them out of a growing fascist system. And ultimately, he ended up in Great Britain, United Kingdom. Let's go up here. He came over with a particular forename, first name. My first name's Richard. Forename, first name, yes? Depending on what you call it. He came over with a particular first name that clearly identified him to his history, be that religious or where he was coming from. Yes? But he came over with no surname, his last name. My name is Banforth. He came over with no surname. So the fostering family gave him a surname. So that was recorded on the paperwork of the time and the process. Let's just get this cleared up a bit. Just bear with me a second. Let's just close this down a bit. So this fostering family gave him a surname. Now his surname that was given to him at that moment in time was a very popular English name or British name with an S on the end. It wasn't Jones, but it was similar. It's a popular name, popular surname over in Wales. He then went out for adoption to a family in London. They had the name of Banforth. And so what they did was they actually took his first name that he came over from Germany with, his given surname from the fostering family, used that surname as his future middle name and to what he would be called in the UK, and gave him the surname of Banforth, which I currently enjoy, should we say. Enjoy is an interesting word, isn't it? So the use of his forename, his first name, was dropped. Not legally. Legally, he still had that name. But his middle name, which was the fostering family's surname, was used as his now forename, like mine is Richard. But they dropped the S off at the end of that name, so it became one of the most popular names in the UK or Britain. And he was known from that point, after being adopted, as his middle name plus his surname, his adopting family surname. What that did was remove any connection by using his middle name and surname in normal conversation, at registration at school, at all that good stuff. It removed the connection to any religious sect at that moment in time and things like that. Yeah? So he just sounded like a typical UK guy. And he grew up in that way. And as I've said, when I was born and all that good stuff, we didn't have a religious approach. Not at all. Not at all. Because of the work that my father was doing in the healthcare sector and engineering and all this good stuff, a belief in a higher being was just not considered. Was just not considered at all. Now we come to 2 days ago, Thursday, Manchester. And a terrible thing has happened. And I was going to look back at 2001. And here are some highlights of the news of 2001. 2001 was when the Suzuki GSX-R sorry, the Suzuki GSX 1400 was registered. And I thought the world in 2001 was a better place. But it wasn't. It was just a different place with different problems. And what I'm not diluting is the current situation of the UK. Over the last 25 years, if not longer, the leadership within Western countries, generally speaking, has been very weak and uncontrolling. That doesn't mean to say it should be a dictatorship or tyranny or fascism. I'm saying we are becoming very, very liberal. And now we are paying the price. We are now paying that price. And this, I fear, is the start. My heart goes out to everyone in the UK, be you Jewish or Muslim. I have fantastic Jewish friends. I have fantastic Muslim friends. I also have fantastic Christian friends. You may think this is a Muslim thing, but it isn't. These are extremists. Don't worry about it. One thing that my friends abroad have been asking is, they find it very, very interesting how we can now have a deputy prime minister and a home secretary that are not English. And I've had this before, when Rishi Sunak was prime minister. And this is not a racist thing. It's them questioning, how did you get to this point? It's a good question, because if you want to know what everybody's thinking about your country regarding the news, the best thing to do is go to that other country and watch the news from their perspective about, let's say, Great Britain. The best, if you want to know what your country's doing, go to another country, watch their television and their news, and see what's happening. It's a very sad time, very sad time. I am not religious, but I do have a respect for the 95% of people that see a higher being. At current count, there's some 3,000 gods across the UK. And most of those people reject 2,999 of those gods and believe in one. All I'm doing is not believing in one more. So instead of 2,999 gods that I don't believe in, I'm not believing in 3,000 gods, just one more God. But I do appreciate I am a minority across the globe. Only 5% of people do not believe in a higher being. As I said, I was going to bring, if you've got this far, as I said, if I was going to bring out a video on motorcycles, as I normally do on a Sunday, but I just couldn't. My integrity wouldn't allow it. My values wouldn't allow it. I also appreciate that the show must go on. This is YouTube. The show must go on. And there are people, other channels that will keep on releasing footage about their specialty, and my specialty is motorcycles. Just a heads up, I'm going to be changing the name of the channel to something like Bankrupt something else. Bankrupt Pensioner is focusing my my viewing base to a very particular age group. I'm going to go home now. I'm going to edit this video, and hopefully the video on the DJI Osmo Nano will be great, along with the audio. The audio is connected to the Nano. Up there is the DJI Action 5. I have to admit, DJI are absolutely brilliant. I did email DJI to say, can I have a Nano for free to test out? Of course, I'm just a little peasant on the YouTube landscape. They never even responded to me. I can understand that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Peace be with you, and ride safely and drive safely. Comments below on what your thoughts are. See you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.